Well, then, that was fun. Hi, all you be. Hi, see, I'm already thinking of all the 50 million other streams that I do. Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, we're live. Okay, here we go. But hello, internet darlings out there, and welcome to the second episode of QUEERZ, a very fun TTRPG romp through the QUEERZ RPG system. I am your game master, Mikey, and joining me this evening I have, two of my four players, so 50% is pretty good. But first and foremost, you know him, you love him. He is one of my homies. Andrew is in the building tonight. So, Andrew, why don't you remind the folks who you are playing this evening?
Sorry, I'm still trying to recover from the all you BC WrestlePod fans out there. um, yeah, I'm playing Atticus Wynn. So he is a young, affluent um, guy who comes from a well-known family in the town that we all live in. Um, and we did recently meet one of his close family members, his aunt, and he's struggling to kind of find his way in this world with some of the new challenges that he understands exists around him, and trying to figure out how he can kind of make an impact on the world for the better.
We love it. This is going to go so swimmingly. I'm just kidding. And then, of course, rounding out our player count for the evening. Also, at least I hope he considers me a very good friend. I consider him a very good friend. We've been through lots of things together, TTRPG wise. But Connor is in the building. How are we doing, Connor?
I'm good. And yes, Mikey, of course, we're really good friends.
Oh,
Obviously, we have been through quite a lot. Hi, I'm Connor. I am playing Warren Corral tonight. He is a aspiring writer and other things, food reviewer and cook that we will be getting more and more into his delicious backstory. Ha ha ha, pun. Um, as well as his super sailor scout abilities and stuff. Maybe even tonight. But yeah, he's a working class dude from this here town whose name I think is Chrysalis Bay, but I could be wrong. Depending. Hey, I was right. Yeah, I got approving nods. But yeah, Warren and his trusty animated sidekick of Sketch, living in his little Tamagotchi Pokeball on his hip, is ready to in a very scared kind of way, navigate through this strange new persona fueled location that we find ourselves in.
oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get through the rest of it. So, and then of course, he needs no introduction too, but running the ones and twos tonight is our lovely halfling wizard, aka Will himself. The show cannot go on without him, so whether he wants to or not, he is getting the love and adoration that he so deservingly gets. But we are done with introductions, so why don't we do a little bit of a recap of what happened last time? So, last time on QUEERZ, we found ourselves at Chrysalis Bay, which is the location of our story. Think of Chrysalis Bay as the busy life of a very densely metropolitan city that also has the vibes of a vacation resort. So this is a man-made island that has a bustling metropolis that also is very, of the low chill vibes of the beachfront and all that good stuff. So it's a good time. But we found ourselves in Chrysalis Bay, specifically at the local carnival that happens ever so often here in Chrysalis Bay. And anything and everything that you could imagine went down. We had snacks. We had some heartfelt moments. We had some carnival games. And just like any other carnival in real life, we also had a magician taking people through mirrors and things like that. Your normal kind of stuff. Not really. But, anyways, so during the magic show, our intrepid heroes, if you will, uh, found themselves amidst the awe and the shock of the performing magician, pulling random members of the audience through mirrors with like very distorted versions and copies of other things. As they try to escape, their loved ones and important people, so to speak, were getting pulled in, so therefore they were staying behind trying to get them out. Warren and Sketch were trying to save a child that was getting pulled through the mirror. We we had our lovely pirate Kyler trying to pull out his friend Q, his friend who happens to be a boy. They're boyfriends, if you will. But Kyler tried to pull Q out, and then of course Atticus trying to pull out Auntie Sue as she was getting pulled into this as well. And if you can't beat them, join them, because then our magician friend, with a very impressive trick of the top hat, sucked our intrepid heroes into the mirror world, where Kyler got a little bit of a glance at his reflection, and it did not turn out the way that he was hoping it to be. And within this very long corridor of mirrors, the gang decided that the only way really to get through this is to go forward. So, after walking through this hall of mirrors, trying to avoid the gazes and the monstrosities that appeared in their reflections, our crew ended up at a door, which then led them into what looked like some sort of storage space. And they also found themselves confronted with a stained glass heart that shattered into a million pieces, thus giving light to this room. And then it question mark. And so that is where we are going to pick up. So tonight's episode is called Carnival Illusions Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, if you will. So, but let us pick up where we left off. So, you two, along with Kyler, you guys just witnessed a stained glass heart of some sort explode into thousands of shards. But somehow you didn't get cut in the explosion and whatnot. And now this room is filled with a very iridescent light. And it seems that a chromatic spectrum of light is filling this space. So think the colors of the rainbow, if you will, is kind of filling this space. So it's like what happens if you take the northern lights, but you put it into a more contained space within a physical room itself instead of the sky. And the feeling that you guys get upon seeing this light is, whereas in the hallway you were more wary, and some people were a little bit nervous and a little bit terrified of what these mirrors pertained, the atmosphere in this room is more warm and inviting, so to speak, that it's not as uncertain and it's not as fearing as your hallway adventure was. But yeah, so you guys are feeling a little bit more at ease, though there is still the mirror with what looks to be somebody on the other side of it in it. So yeah, so that is where we're going to start. So, folks, what are we going to do?
Just to clarify, so you're saying the light is now around the room, or is there still a source of light that is emitting the light around the room?
So think of it as the source of light is now enveloping the room, so it's lighting up the entirety of the room itself. Think of it as like if you took a bunch of like library desk lamps, you put them into the ceiling, so it's very like low light, but instead of, I guess, that kind of brownish tint that the light bulbs give off, think of that, but it's replaced with more like a chromatic type of color as well. But you do have enough life to take a look around and see things, and you can see in front of you. It's not like very dim light.
And you said that there's like attic stuff in here, right? Like boxes and things like that.
Yeah. So, just as kind of a recap, the room that you guys found yourself in, it looked like it was like a attic storage of some sort. I mean, it's built like an attic in some capacity, with the beams and the infrastructure of an attic with some boxes around. So, cardboard boxes, wooden boxes, and then of course, again, further down the room is said mirror.
Uh, can I like check out some of the boxes, see if there's names on them or any information to just get an idea of like ownership or how they're connected or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. You guys can take a look around.
I
So,
might like to investigate or check the perception of what I perceive in this area.
it's not that kind of. I'm just kidding. So
Yeah,
I
no,
will go for it. Well, I will say, you know what? Let's technically this isn't part of the move set, but you know what? Let's make this fun, shall we? So, Andrews, since well, actually more so Atticus, since you want to investigate a little bit, I am going to have you do first roll, which is going to be great. So, again, for those of you who are unaware with the QUEERZ RPG system, this is made by the same studio that does City of Mist. So, all Andrew needs here is 2d6, or to use the roller here on uh, Alchemy. And for this basic skill set, we'll see what he ends up getting. So, a 10 to 12 is excellent. In between all that, with a 7 to 9 is okay with some complications, and 6, be prepared for consequences to happen.
just double checking to make sure I don't have any like abilities or anything that would help me with this. But it's all loner swordsman and karate chop, so I don't think any of that stuff is gonna help. I'm gonna chop those boxes open.
Not yet, at least.
Ah, I got a 6.
Oh no! Okay, so Atticus, as you are looking around, I will say that you can see fairly well, but the problem is as you go to like open one of the boxes, you think you see some writing underneath, but it is a little bit of dust, so you do kind of wipe it away. However, as you're wiping it away, it causes the dust to kind of come up a little bit and get into your face. And so then, allergy season, man, it's going to kill you. So you begin to start sneezing. And as you kind of try to stop yourself from sneezing, you kind of just can't hold it anymore. You let it out. And as you sneeze, you kind of take a step back and then you fall over and you find yourself just you trip over the boxes behind you, and now you find yourself butt first into a crate of some sort. And as you try to get yourself out, you can't seem to lift yourself up in the precarious position that you are in. So think of yourself as like a hermit crab in its shell now.
It's like when like the bullies stick the kid in the trash can, so they're first in their arms and legs and they can't get out.
Yep, that is exactly what is happening.
Uh, so begrudgingly, after trying to get out on my own, you know, I'll look for some help. Not necessarily asking for it, but kind of
um, Warren was like kind of sort of turned a different direction. I was going to what's my tag? Pay attention to detail and look for some things because I got that one written down for part of the realness going on for Warren. But I think he will be interrupted in that attempt by this sound of you going ass over tea kettle into a box. And yeah, absolutely. He'll head over without any kind of like definitely an amused smile, but not a judgmental one. And offer like double hands up to be able to extradite you from your wooden prison there. Um, I think how silent is it in this attic? Does it feel like eerily creepy silent?
That is a good question. So on the scale of, let's see, on the scale of normal silence to, um, you're about to have Michael Myers pop out of it anywhere, right? Levels of silence. I will say that it's more towards the normal amount of silence in this room. You feel safe in this room, if you will. So, this is a safe room of sorts.
All right.
Now,
Okay, if
obviously,
there's
you
like
can't
a
be yelling and screaming at the top of your lungs because then
right.
something's going to come and find you. But for the most part, you guys are like 90% safe.
Okay. If it's a relatively safe feeling room, then could I, while Atticus collects themselves, can I take a look-sees around for um I guess it would be like the trap door or like a door on the wall or some way that's like an obvious like in out if this is a real attic kind of thing. Would I be able to find something similar to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're gonna go investigate, and because
Yes.
you did mention that you can pick out the finer details, that I will allow that little tag, so you get to add a +1 to your roll.
+1, beautiful. All right. Well, that is a 4 total.
You mean to tell me you rolled a 3 on 2d6 +1?
I've rolled a 1 and a 2.
Oh,
So
we're
yes.
off to a great start.
Get that out of the way now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, Warren, as you are looking around, um, while the nerves have kind of subsided a little bit, as you are looking around, you are also trying to look at some boxes and some other things. Unlike Atticus, who got attacked by the dust bunnies, as you kind of as you kind of turn, so imagine there being a big box right there. As you kind of turn the corner a little bit to look at a smaller box that is on the floor, as you go down to bend down, all of a sudden you see like a tiny little spider just pop onto the box, like from the ceiling. Think of it as like Think of it as like the little dirt monsters from Spirited Away, kind of in that weirdly shape with the legs and everything. So it just pops down, and you see it wave its little leg, and you hear all the
Warren is going to scream. Not because he's scared of spiders, but because that's just a little bit too much in this really weird kind of environment and is absolutely just gonna and like Shaggy style 4 or 5 big exaggerated steps back.
Yes, I love it. I love it so dearly. Atticus is right behind again. Jordan is like, and then now you both find yourselves stuck in this box again. Well, okay, let me put this way. So Atticus is there to kind of catch you a little bit, but upon you kind of trip on yourself, Warren, which causes Atticus to fall back. And I mean, you do end up finding the trapdoor, but now both of you kind of just gone through ass down and just like, and now both of you are lying onto the floor. Warren, as you and Atticus are kind of on the floor, Warren, you're just facing up where you see the attic door and the ladder as you are now laying looking above it. And then from your vantage point, you see the little spider come over, look over there, and just like, and then it just scrolls away.
Ugh. Going to stay very still and not make any sudden movements.
How much of the little spider thing did Atticus see?
You know what? Let me roll some dice real quick because now I need to do some master of ceremonies rolls myself. So, all right, let's do this. Just for randomness. Well, damn, the dice loves you today. Anyways, so, Atticus, as you're kind of collecting yourself after falling not too far, but falling down the ladder, so to speak, with you and Warren. You look up, you catch the spider. You would need to get a closer look by going back up there to get the finer details, but you see a little black, little oval looking kind of body shape with tiny legs, and it's quiet enough where you did hear the as it was waving at Warren before skirting off.
Well, that's not normal. So you said we
Did
fell
you
down
see
the
it? Did you
ladder?
see it too?
I did. That's yeah. This I don't like this place. Uh, you said we fell down the ladder. We're still like in the attic, right? Or did
So,
we out of
I,
it?
so you fell down out of it. So it looks like you are in a new area because you did fall through the attic floor. So again, you fell down. So looking, if you look above you, well, right in front of you is like a ladder adder that comes down from the ceiling, like some houses have. And then if you look up, it's the attic itself where you were. And then as you look around your surroundings, um, yeah, despite everything that has happened within the span of maybe an hour, we'll say, this is probably the most normal thing you have seen because, Atticus, as you're looking around, you find yourself in a hallway that looks to be modeled after like a very old Victorian style, like two-story house. I mean, it's lit pretty well. There's doors. There's a reading table with some flowers on it. It looks very inviting.
Uh, I'll kind of get myself up and try to help Warren up at the same time, and kind of look back up there and say, I think we should still go back up there and check out that mirror.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the best. Uh, I really don't know what's going on, but if we came in here through and found all those mirrors, then I think mirrors might be the theme here. So, yeah, do you wanna go first?
I'll go first. That's fine. Just
Okay, cool. Thank you.
watch out
I'll
if
just
there's anything else down here as we go up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I'll just and Warren will turn around back to the ladder, looking down the hallway and like fists up in what like looks kind of goofy, but is a an experienced boxer guard to be ready for anything, I guess.
And I'll test out the ladder to make sure it's like not gonna break or anything, and then make my way up back up the attic.
Cool. As soon as you step on the ladder, it starts to creak. Just kidding. Well, it does creak, but it is very sturdy enough, and Atticus, you're easily able to get back into the attic without any problems. Warren, same thing. You are just preparing yourself for anything else to be popping out of nowhere, but you are also able to get back into the attic. And so the two of you find yourselves back in the attic. Once again, still a bunch of boxes around, and then you have person in mirror.
Uh, Once Warren's up, Atticus is gonna pull the ladder back up and close that door. Just was yeah, just for safety's sake. I don't want something sneaking up on us.
Smart move.
Actually, just from experience, I'm gonna move a small box or something to sit on top of that. So if something does open it, we'll hear that fall.
Yeah, easily enough. I will let you do that. So I I love when my players play smart. It's so good. Alrighty, so Atticus, you being the person that you are, have no trouble moving a box to sit on top of the latch to keep somebody from wanting to come back in. So yeah, so after that is all said and done, again, you find yourselves back in the attic.
And the mirror is like on the other end of the room from us.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, I'll look at Warren and kind of give a shrug and kind of like peek around and slowly make my way to the mirror, trying to just keep an eye on it, make sure there's no funny business.
Can I peek over Atticus's shoulder to look at the mirror? Has the person in there reacted to all of this buffoonery at all?
So, as you're like over Atticus, surprisingly, no. I mean, there's a person there, but think of it as like, even though it's not necessarily the same thing, but the person inside of the actual mirror looks to be in some sort of stasis. So it looks like they're kind of just a la Kingdom Hearts death game over screen, like just floating in the mirror, so to speak, in some sort of like sleep stasis. And so they haven't reacted at all to everything that has transpired so far.
All right, I'll keep moving forward until we get close to the mirror.
Cool. So, as you two kind of inch ever so closer to the mirror, I mean, outside of your guys' own footsteps, and outside of your guys' own footsteps, you walk closer and closer and closer, and you guys end up in front of the mirror about normal distance away as anyone would see. So, in terms of the mirror, think of this as like a very old school grandstanding mirror where it's very tall and you know it's more so not necessarily built like a vanity but more like a fitting room mirror, so to speak, kind of more like the one tall ones where you go get fitted and things like that, and it has the trifold design into it. And so as you get closer, you are able to get more detail of this individual that is inside of this mirror, and to both of your surprises, it looks to be, how do I want to word this? It looks to be, it is a male figure inside of this, but as you get closer and you now are able to kind of look out the details a little bit, it looks to be a teenage boy of some sort, kind of with short hair, a standardized t-shirt and some pants with, some skates, with some skate sneakers, and it's kind of just sitting there. And on its shirt, though, he is rocking a shirt that has a picture of like things you normally find when it comes to magic. So, a magician's wand, the top hat, a rabbit, things like that. Kind of in a very, you know what, I'm gonna say brand names because I can't think of it in the design of like a Mark Echo or Zoo York kind of designs when it comes to their clothing. So very streetwear esque, very early to like 2000s era of clothing. And this individual's kind of just chilling there, eyes closed in stasis of some kind.
Uh, are there any like uh, just because of the situation we're in, the first thing that came to my mind is like a candlestick. But are there any like long, foot or longer items sitting around us that are easy to grab?
So as you look around, you do see kind of like a coat rack of some sort. So the ones that has the tall center pole and then like the four smaller hooks sticking out of it. So you find one of those. You also find like one of those mannequin busts that designers use to, you know, fit garments on and things like that.
Is the coat rack like wood?
Yeah, it's your very standard wood. One might say it's mahogany, if you will. So
Uh, Atticus will grab that and see if it can like unscrew into portions. Um, because oftentimes they'll come apart, and if he can, he'll like split it so it's not a you know 5 foot tall coat rack, but maybe it's like half that length. Um,
yeah, you're able to do that.
okay. And then he's gonna take one end of it, and he's gonna basically like reach up, tap on the mirror, kind of like you might like you're not supposed to tap on a fish tank, but like you would tap on a fish tank, but um, not being careful, not wanting to like break the mirror, but like just seeing if there's a reaction.
All right, Darla from Finding Nemo, calm down. Just kidding. It's like that is exactly what's gonna happen. You shake the mirror. No, just kidding. No, don't shake the mirror. So, Atticus, as you tap on the glass, you see that as soon as the very tip of the coat rack kind of makes contact with the surface of the mirror, nothing changes on the inside, but you feel when you tap it, so when you tap a mirror, you in a weird way, you know how it feels with the sound that reverberates when you take something and you tap it on a mirror. However, when you do this with your disassembled coat rack, it doesn't give off the same feeling as if you were to tap a normal mirror. When you make contact with the mirror, it feels more like it pulsates on the contact instead of making the regular clink sound when you tap on the mirror. And so it feels like as you're touching it, it feels like if something is pushing it back a little bit, pulsing it back, not in a way where that thing is going to go flying and somebody's about to get skewered by the coat rack, but there's just a little bit of resistance kind of back and forth as you tap on it.
like a gelatin type
Yep.
give.
Yep.
Uh, okay. After tapping on it, I think he'll give a slightly like harder push just to like check that. Um, and then we'll relay that information to Warren. Like this. In case you didn't know, this is definitely not a normal mirror. Like when he tapped it, did it
Oh,
do the like whoa, whoa thing, or did it? Was it just
Yep.
like look?
Yep.
Okay.
okay, okay, okay. Throughout this whole tapping adventure, I think Warren's been really transfixed by this kid in the mirror. Is there a way to see? Is there anything else in the mirror with this kid, or is it just like the ethereal darkness with this child floating in here as well?
Hmm. Is there anything ethereal darkness to it? That is a good question.
Like I'm specifically looking, is there a contextual style clue within the mirror itself about where this either kid like was or is, or anything that I can discern from like the background to kind of
Ooh.
figure out,
Okay.
since Atticus has got like the physical testing aspect. I want to like eyeball through here and see, is there something that we can pick up, like following a lead kind of thing, to about where this kid is or was, or the next step beyond this location.
Ooh, okay. Now you made it more interesting. All right. So, you know what? I'll give it to you. So, Warren, as you are looking into this mirror, there are a couple of things there's two things that kind of stick out more to you, so to speak. The first thing is that as you're kind of looking past this individual in the mirror, you do see kind of a background of what looks to be of some sort of circus tent, like inside of a big top circus tent. Not the same one that you guys came from, but it looks like a different one, and it looks more regional specific. So I can't believe I'm actually about to say this, but circuses around the world, their infrastructure on the inside are usually built different. So your standard kind of like big top that includes animals and things like that has more of a circular, kind of with the pointed tip. And then, of course, if you look at like more acrobatic esque circuses, they are more built up with a rectangular foundation to give more space for acrobats to jump all over the place. Don't ask me why I know all this information, but but as you kind of look back, Warren, you kind of see, and again, because I will say, as a writer, you have done lots of research when it comes to different things. And again, authors and writers tend to get inspiration from lots of things. But you know that in the background of this is inside of a more acrobat based circus, and the design of it is very like French inspired, if you will. The other thing that you notice is that as you kind of come back after looking past the boy in the mirror and getting that information, you also notice that around the mirror itself, nothing really stands out too much except that when you look at the top, you see some sort of enclave, like indentation at the top of this mirror that looks like something popped out of it or something is missing, things like that.
Okay. I would share that with Atticus. Still, like, like talon grip in his shoulders, looking over and like hot whisper right in the ear of like, "Hey, I just noticed all these things, and I don't know if that. I know you're busy right now, but I just feel like we should probably maybe look at that too." Um, but I would probably hazard a guess of like, I think this is probably connected to everything else that's. You already knew that. I don't know why I'm so. Yeah. Uh huh.
So what you're saying is you think this mirror might have something to do with like the other mirrors?
Yeah. Yeah. Contextually, that's what I'm picking up on here. But
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, uh, what do you think we should? I feel like okay. Bear with me on this one. Context clues. I feel like we had kind of a manic, uh, magician do the whole terror thing back then, and I feel like that might be connected to this kid who seems to be somewhat obsessed with other such magician-y type memorabilia and paraphernalia. So yeah.
Can, can we see the kid's face at all?
You actually can, yes.
Okay. Um, like what's I know it's not the actual distance, but like where the kid is set in the mirror, like what's the visual distance from us? What would that look like if they were actually in the same space as us?
Ooh, okay. So, all right. So I'm gonna use manipulatives here. So let's say that these are you two on the outside, right? And we'll say that this pad of sticky notes is the mirror, so to speak. Because most mirrors are reflections of light, we will say that the distance inside the mirror is that this finger is about the same distance, give or take, like maybe a foot or so, with the boy here. And then in the background behind him is the French acrobatic circus interior. So, if you will, think of this mirror kind of like the way that a snow globe is made, because you have from the front view, you can see everything in front, but looking from on top of it, you can see that there's an equilateral distance around this thing. So, if that's the best way I can explain it, but yeah, so we'll just say that it's about a foot in the distance of this kid is about a foot into the mirror, and you guys are about a foot away from said mirror, so to speak. And then behind him is the backdrop of everything as well.
So I want to look at the kid's face as much as we can see of it and see if he looks familiar at all, um, and see if we like recognize him or if he has any similarities of anything that we might like. Especially like I don't know, like looks like anyone that we saw at the carnival that we were at.
So, as you are kind of looking at this, you feel that you've seen this individual before. There are certain facial feature structures that do seem a little bit similar, but you're for some reason you guys keep drawing a blank, but it's the same feeling when it's something is at the tip of your tongue, but you can't get enough of the synapses to fire to get it out or to put the correct name or what it to it. But as you guys are kind of pondering this, you do hear coming from behind you. It's just like, I think you're gonna need this.
Uh, Hearing that, I think Atticus's natural reaction, based on his training, would be to spin around and kind of try to pivot around Warren to keep him at like behind me again and raise up the Korak like a weapon, almost like a sword.
Yes. So I, I will definitely say that you were able to do that successfully, because that's just hella cool. But Atticus, as you turn around, kind of pivoting Warren behind you as well with your coat rack, and also getting ready to swing, at least directly in front of you, you can't necessarily see anybody until the voice says, down here. And so as you kind of look down, you this is gonna be fun. So you see a small humanoid child looking individual. And this, I say humanoid because it has the features of a human, but it looks more extraterrestrial than anything. So as you can see in the image here, this individual is about maybe to the middle of your chest height, very young looking, has a very iridescent gem stuck inside of their head, very bright and wide, starry eyes, and is dressed in a very kind of colorful but simple kind of kimono esque outfit going on here. Again, very Space Channel 5, if you will, with the fashion. And then all of a sudden, ooh la la comes out of nowhere. Just kidding. So you just see this individual. You don't get the vibes that this individual is malevolent, at least not quite yet. But yeah, you do. You are taken aback by their appearance.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be what the, just, who are you?
Yeah.
um. Well. Well, it's nice to meet you, Atticus, and nice to meet you, Warren. My name is Artio, and I've been here to help. And kind of gives like the very childlike salute, like reporting for duty type of salute.
Uh, uh,
Okay. It's great to meet you. Forgive me, but where did you come from?
Oh, that's easy. I came from, and as RTO begins to speak, it's like, oh wait, hang on, let me get this right. So they open their kimono. Inside is like a little pocket. They pull out a little like note card of some sort on an index card. They put, ahem. So, my name is Artios. Okay, I come from the inner sanctum, and I have been sent to help you get out of here by Mother. There we go. So I am here to help, reporting for duty.
wait, did you say by a mother or by mother?
By Mother. Wait, reads the card. Yep, that's exactly what I wrote. By Mother.
Like your mother?
Yeah, Mother.
Uh,
Okay.
how are
Yeah.
you gonna help?
Well, you see, and kind of peeks around the two of you. See, you can't see. The thing is that you can't access the memory core right now. You're going to need you are going to need the piece of the crystal heart in order to be able to access these memories. Oh wait, I probably said a lot of things that you probably don't understand. Okay, let me start all over. Looks at the card. Okay, hi, my name. Oh wait, no, already did introductions. All right, well, oh, I didn't write this down. Okay, and kind of just puts the card back in his pocket. So there's a lot to explain. Um, I am more than happy to explain. Actually, you know what? I think I better just show you because I'm not too good with the words, and think that if I show you what exactly I'm talking about, I think you're going to be okay. I promise.
How do
Okay.
you know us?
Uh, well, okay. Well, hang on. Just give me a sec. And you see RTO kind of just walk around a couple of boxes. You hear them kind of like scrimmaging through. It's like, where did I put this? Ah, here it is. I knew I would find an extra one here. And so you, as you kind of are watching all this go down, RTO comes back and he has like a little rectangular box. So bear with me. For those of you who grew up in Latino households or in Hispanic cultures in general, you are very familiar with this little red box with red impact lettering of some sort, with pictures of what look to be tiny little white, like droplets that twist at the very end. So, for those of you who are familiar with this, those are the little poppers that you throw on the ground as a child, and they kind of make the popping sound as you do. All right. I knew I'd left these here somewhere. So, takes out one of them and looks like the standard popper. The two of you are familiar with this. So I think it's better if I show you. But yeah, we should probably hurry because I think the Squeak Squad is coming through here in a little bit, and we probably need to go.
They say what?
Yeah, the Squeak Squad.
They don't sound that bad. I mean, are they like little mice or something?
Um, I mean, I'll admit they're kind of adorable, but given the fact that they are also henchmen of the scary magician dude that put you two in here, I wouldn't be blinded by their cuteness now.
Got it. Okay. Um, yeah. So let's just get someplace safe, and then we can kind of help everyone else get to their safe places. Yeah.
Where do we go?
Ah, okay. I got you. Give me a sec. So RTO takes one of these things, and instead of throwing it to the ground, he throws it against the wall. And it does make the impact and the popping sound, but instead of it just being, oh, that was cool, as soon as the impact of this thing hits the wall, you just see kind of a shimmer of light, and then you see kind of what looked to be stained glasses appear out of nowhere and kind of form themselves into a doorway of sorts. And then it coalesces into a door with a handle that is made of stained glass. So,
Sure, why not?
That's that's very impressive. Okay. All right. And okay. And I'll like lean in close to Atticus's ear and go like, now look, I know that we don't know each other very well, but I feel like I can trust you. Um, I don't, I don't. Can we do this? Are we okay? Do you think this is a good idea?
I mean, to be fair, it seems like it's a better option than where we've been so far, but I
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't trust anything too much. I
Yeah.
feel like the things that sound and look cute might not be so. I feel like it might be one of those situations.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, yeah, I will follow your lead on this, but yeah, okay, RTO, I think we're good to go.
oh, splendid. And of course, poor RTO is so oblivious to and they think that, oh, yay, okay, so they're going to come with me. Yay, friends kind of mentality thing. So RTO walks up to the door, kind of pulls the handle a little bit, opens it up, and you just see kind of a very inviting and warm, but a very bright light coming from him. Trust me, I will explain everything when we get to where we're going because I'm better at showing than telling. So yeah, uh, just follow me. And then of course RTO skips through into the door. The door is open, so door is there. You two are still in the attic. Are you proceeding to the door?
Atticus will keep his half a coat rack at the ready and proceed through.
Uh, Warren will take like one last look around the attic and shrug, I guess, to himself and the spiders and skip through just like RTO did.
Yes, sweet. Alrighty. So the two of you make your way through. Atticus, you are able to still. You walk through the door. You still have your coat rack, weapon ready to go. Warren, you are right behind Atticus as you skip through, and as the two of you are kind of taking into what you are seeing, you are things could not possibly get any crazier than they already have, but they kind of do because as the two of you have entered into the space and you are looking through, you see what looks to be a garden of crystals with some some technology kind of centering the console of this middle crystal being surrounded by other crystal towers of different colors and things like that. So RTO kind of just looks around. All right, here it is, and kind of walks up to one of the consoles and begins to kind of tap on it and begin to type in. It's like, all right, let's see, and start. And then, of course, as of right now, you see that this room is dimly lit. But as soon as RTO kind of hits something on to one of the consoles, the lights begin to turn on and give more brightness into the room. RTO turns to the both of you. It's like, welcome to the inner garden. This is, well, I guess all intents and purposes. I guess this is my home for now. I guess if you want. But yeah, welcome. This poor kid is really trying his hard. Not this is the first day on the job of being like a guide of some sort, trying his their absolute best.
Um, Warren will like take a knee, seeing that, take a knee right in front of RTO and put like a hand on his shoulder and be like, "Hey, look, kid, look, I just want to say, like, you're doing a great job. We're both very scared because this has been a wild ride so far, and there's a real good chance you could like, murder and kill us in here. But I just want to say, like, you're doing great. I know this must be rough for you. It gets better the more you do stuff as you go on. But yeah, just keep it up. Anytime you need to like take something over again, kind of try again. That's fine. We're totally here to help you out and feel good. Just try to keep that in mind if you are going to murder, kill, and or eat us. So yeah.
Uh, Atticus will lean into Warren and say, "Did did you just encourage them to do well if they're gonna murder and eat us?"
Look, I'm trying to like get on their good side, so on the off chance that they do murder, kill, and or eat us, then they're gonna probably have at least some kind of conflict of consciousness with that, if they even have a consciousness or like a conscience. I don't I don't know, man. I'm just doing my best, okay? And it felt like it was the right thing to try and be inspirational to this poor kid who's just like maybe he's got some magic powers or something. I don't know. All right? I'm trying here.
Yeah, we the least that could happen if they're gonna murder and eat us is feel conflicted about it. I mean, that's probably a good plan.
Thank you. That's what I
Uh,
was going for.
Atticus is gonna turn around and double check the door that they came through. Is it there? Is it gone? Is it closed? What's the situation with that door?
To your surprise, Atticus, as you turn around, the door is still there.
Is it closed?
I mean, it's closed, but if you go, I will say you walk up to it and you kind of just jiggle the handle a little bit. It's not locked. You can open it back up and go back to where you were, like at any point.
No, it was more of well, Atticus will turn around and say, like, you said something was coming after us. I just want to make sure that they're like not gonna be able to like come through this after us.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. And so RTO kind of just skip walks into there. All right, and opens up opens up their little coat pocket. It's just like, no, not that. And it's just think of the comical as like out comes a rubber duck, and then out comes like half a chocolate bar. Ah, here it is. And pulls out a key, sticks it into the doorknob, and like turns it, checks it. It's like, there, the door is locked.
Cool, 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 cool. So, what did you want to show us now?
So, well, okay. So, I mean, this is the inner sanctum. This is my home. This is actually this is where we were notified that you guys have found yourself in yeah, in the place that you were at. Oh, what's the word for it? Ah, shoot. Mother keeps telling me that I need to study for these things, but I I it it's called the inner space, love. That's the word. Oh, wait. So you two also hear this very effeminate kind of voice echoing through the inner sanctum here as RTO is, trying to recall what the word is. Oh, well, yeah, the inner space is which we were notified that you were trapped in the. You found yourselves in the inner space, and we kind of needed to get you out there because, surprisingly, you guys were still okay. Because normally, people who enter the inner space who aren't, you know, prepared for it don't necessarily come out the same, but surprisingly, you didn't vanish. Interesting. Ooh, let me write this down. Begins to kind of like take out an Apple pen of some sort and start writing it on the like one of the consoles in front of him.
Holding the coat rack at the ready. Two questions. Because there was a different voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was that? And what is the inner space? I'm assuming you're not talking about the movie.
Sorry, Mike, you got to pop out of that one. Oh my goodness, no. So as RTO, it's like, well, okay, how do I explain it? And again, you all hear this voice. Don't worry, darling. I will make sure to explain it. You have done a good job now. And from the far corner of this space of the inner sanctum, you see a set of stairs, and of course, made of varying colors of crystals and some sort, adorned in a very kind of crystallized railing as well. And as you hear the footsteps walking down said stairs on the opposite end, you see, for all intents and purposes, you see a very giant woman coming down the stairs. So this figure is adorned in various fabrics of different colors of the spectrum of the rainbow, so to speak. She is wearing a nice flowing kind of gown to accentuate that. Again, very, very large in the sense that this is a very tall woman and she's very cosmic, if you will, in terms of stature. So as she begins to walk down the stairs, she, in her voice, her loving voice, begins to say, Atticus, Warren, do not fear. We bring you no harm. As my little Artio has mentioned to you, I am Mother. So, as she is walking down the stairs, this is what she looks like. Very, again, flowing fabrics, different colors of the rainbow. Size wise, she is very, very large, long, flowing, kind of gray and white hair mixed in with a little bit of, different colors of the rainbow, so to speak. So, comparatively, you two are like right here. This mother is very, very tall.
So we're talking like twice our height.
Yeah, about twice your height, maybe 2.5 times your height.
Atticus will kind of relax on the coat rack, but still like try to make it seem a little less. I don't want to say threatening because I don't know that would be the right term, but confrontational. But also not uh, being willing to try and at least protect himself if he has to. So again, what's the inner space? Why are we here? And how do you know who we are?
Oh, my dear Atticus, I'm surprised that Sue hasn't mentioned me before. Surprise! You gave me free reign as the game master. You knew I was going to do some fun stuff. And looks over. So, Atticus, as she mentions that to you, basically the reaction that Andrew you gave was the reaction I'm assuming Atticus gives to. It's like, what the is this happening? And then as you kind of collect yourself a little bit, Mother turns to you, Warren. It's just like, and I see that my little friend Sketch has been keeping you company, Warren. Sketch, we talked about this. You said you were going to check in with me ever so often. Why have I not heard you? Well, let's just say that me and Warren, it's all his fault, Mother. And he begins to freak out.
It absolutely is not my fault. I told you to stop trying to prestige so much, okay? You gotta play different things. You gotta check in with your mother. I'm so sorry, ma'am. You know him. He's I guess clearly. Um, I hi. Um, okay. And Warren is just aghast, like staring straight up at this excessively tall woman and very, very confused as to how this tiny little pocket demon and her could possibly be connected.
Oh, please, please, do not be afraid. Maybe this will help. And she kind of just flicks one of the pieces of her fabric, and you start to see her kind of shrink down to your guys' height a little bit. And so now she still taller than both of you, but now she's at your average height. You're not like, oh, we're about to be stepped on really quickly. Now she's at your height. And again, she's like, I think this will be much better for both of you. And she kind of walks over to the both of you. She gently takes your gently grabs your hand, one of each, and she kind of just closes her eyes a little bit, and you feel this warmth kind of coming from her hands a little bit, and the uncertainty, the nervousness, the anxiety, the fear kind of, while doesn't go away 100%, it begins to subside a little bit. And you feel that the tightness of fight or flight has kind of begin to expand a little bit more. So you are still wary, but you are not on as edge as you were before in the attic and in the Hall of Mirrors and all that stuff. And so she gently releases your hands and she looks both of you. Very loving expression on her face and tells you, please, I know this is a lot to take in, but trust me when I say I do not mean any of you harm. As my dear Artio has said, I am mother, and that is my name, and that is also my role when it comes to the inner sanctum. I promise to answer all your questions, Atticus. So, why don't we take a little bit of a seat and I'll explain everything. And she kind of, again, flicks one of the pieces of her fabric, and out from the corner, you see kind of rising from the indentation in the ground, you see what looked to be like a recliner, a couch, a table with some tea and sugar cubes that are also kind of crystallized a bit, a little bit of snacks. So essentially, it is tea time. And so she walks on over there and just like, care to join me?
Oh, wait, I know this one. You don't eat any of the Fey food or drink the Fey drinks. No,
No,
yeah,
that's unfortunately that would be my sister, but that is a whole nother universe. Promise me you won't try to cross her. If you see anything magical, just run.
Warren grips into Atticus's bicep and goes like, unless by denying the food or the drinks, you've now like somehow broken the whole host and guest like paradigm, at which point then that means it gives them power to do whatever they want to you, because then you're the enemy encroaching in their territory. It's like, it's how do you even get through this? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
all I, all I know is just don't make any deals, okay?
Right.
Uh,
No deals. Perfect.
so yeah, he'll
Again, that's
cautiously make his way over to sit down.
cool.
Warren as well, very carefully.
I love this so much. So the two of you kind of sit down. Again, normal size furniture, but think of it as like one and a half the size, a little bit too big. So as you sit down, you kind of try to go back, and then you find yourself sinking in a little bit to the seats, so to speak. But you are comfortably there. The snacks, the tea is there. Mother kind of, again, doesn't even use her hands. She's just crossing them, and her fabric begins to kind of do the work for her. She pours the tea, puts the stuff in, puts the snacks on the plate, brings it to her, and then she looks at the two of you. Care for a little bit of crystallized tea and a little bit of snacks? You must be famished after experiencing what you did today.
Warren is going to like have both hands clasped together between his knees and then just can't resist the urge and will shakily reach out for like a snack and some of the tea, and for however long the next section of conversation is happening, Warren is actively like full palate dissecting, determining how this tea is, what the snacks are, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, absolutely has to take it. Thank you, mother. This is um, very very generous of you, and then we'll sip and eat from.
Uh, Atticus will allow the distraction of Warren getting food and drink, um, and actively ignore those things, and instead engage with Mother and say, "So now that we're more comfortable, can you give us more information on what is actually going on?"
That I can do. I promised you that I would give you the information, and I definitely will. So let me start by asking the two of you a question. What do you think of the world that you live in terms of the people and how they interact with each other? How would you describe? Well, let's keep it on a smaller level. How would you describe the individuals that you come across every day in your lives? Whether they are close to you or just by chance, just random people. How do your interactions go for you specifically? And kind of just looks at the open question. How would you describe society as a whole?
Uh, Warren, that's gonna make Warren pause with like breadstick biscotti almost to mouth and lay it down on, I guess, like a teacup saucer and place that whole thing to the side and cross his fingers and like hold his knuckles and just stare at them for a moment and without looking up respond, uh, that is possibly the most complicated opening question I think anyone has ever asked ever. I don't. How would you even judge that? It's such a mixed bag out there. I don't know.
Atticus will interject and say, having had this thought of what's been on his mind, with how things have been going, divided but fearfully hopeful.
Mother is kind of just sipping her tea and just listening earnestly to both of your responses. I believe that there's a bit of truth in both of your answers. Warren, for you specifically, some people find it a little more difficult to articulate with such an open ended question as that. And that is something that I actually admire with humanity and just trying to find their way to answer some of the more open ended questions. And then turns to you, Atticus. And you, Atticus, there's also a hint of truth in what you say, too. Human nature tends to sometimes not necessarily show the best that humanity has to offer, but there's such an undeniable spirit that things will turn around and will, you know, make their way through, so to speak. And everybody will, you or anybody that's related to you, will come out of the end of these uncertainties a little bit stronger or have hope that things will get better. Me personally, I think humanity is such a multifaceted thing that I find quite curious. Humanity tends to have its bright moments with people living in harmony, helping one another, bettering for the future. But then humanity also tends to show a very different side, something as equally, as I call it, beautiful, but in the opposite ends. Whereas the power to create, it has the power to destroy. Conflicts arise, problems occur, people in disagreement with one another, but there's such a beauty that humanity tends to bring that even in those good and those bad, somehow there's always a balance for those things. And for the most part, people always grow from it, whether it be the good or the bad. But what if I told you too that there was an underlying force that tends to distort that balance and kind of tries to make its way so that humanity stays oblivious to this balance?
Go on.
So, both of you see Mother's fabric kind of go behind her a little bit and kind of gingerly looking through and kind of pulls up and puts in front of her, not on the table because it's rude, but in front of her, kind of with this fabric holding it. You two immediately see a mirror from the circus that you guys were at, and you just see this distorted reflection of a random individual kind of stuck in there with the same gauntly monotone monochromatic kind of color in it with its eyes glowing yellow, and it begins to kind of like twitch a little bit, but it's having a stare down with you two, but surprisingly it doesn't come out of the mirror, and Mother is kind of just holding it. I believe you were introduced to something like this today, where you guys came from in Chrysalis Bay. Am I correct?
Yeah, that looks familiar.
Hmm. So my suspicions were correct. It seems that the Templar is on the move a lot quicker than I thought they would be.
The
And she
who?
kind the Templar. So I mentioned that I mentioned that there may or may not be a force that is working to keep humanity from realizing their full potential and kind of keeping them blinded to the truth and blinded to the beauty of this balance of good and evil and the open-endedness that is with, aspects of life. The Templar tends to keep humanity blinded to their own ignorance, and while that is a word that most people throw around in this day and age, what you two are looking at is ignorance taking a physical form. This is the power of the Templar. It uses a person's biases, a person's uncertainty, a person's, you know, viewpoints, and it manifests in a physical form that takes shape based on whatever their form of ignorance is. It could be they are ignorant to things that are changing in society, ignorance to their own issues, ignorance to change and growth and things like that. And so the fabric kind of puts the mirror back behind her a little bit. The Templar wishes to keep humanity in a state of uncertainty. It wants individuals to be blinded to the truth and to the change and the beauty that comes with the ever expanding cosmos of life itself and people changing and growing from the good times and the bad. And so she kind of takes a more serious tone. What you have witnessed on the other side of that door is the inner space. Somehow, you managed to make your way into someone's inner sanctum, their most deepest thoughts and their deepest parts of their ego, if you will, their ID, their soul, their being. lots of words have been used in history to describe the inner space, but it is the most private part of an individual's psyche where whatever it is that is giving their identity has been stored and is kind of staying there. And somehow you manage to find your way into this inner space of someone, which means to tell me that you have been, and I think there's a reason for this. Somehow you managed to stumble upon this inner space, and yet you are still yourselves. Despite the scary things that you saw over there, it did not deter you to be courageous and to be curious and to continue to explore and understand what it is that you are seeing. You, my loves, seem to have been given the light of Harmonia. And so she kind of begins to she puts her hand to her chin a little bit, and you can kind of see her getting lost in thought as she's kind of mouthing these words to you. But yeah, so that is a term that is new to you, the light of Harmonia. And she looks at both of you, and before you ask, I will give you an explanation and know what that means.
Oh, good, because that was going to be my next question. The side question, actually, before we get to
Mhm.
that question, are we like in danger just here, but also with the whole inner space, and like, are we in danger?
No, while you are in the inner sanctum, you are safe here. You will not go mad, you will not be harmed in any shape or form. The inner space, however, which is on the other side of the door you just came from, under normal circumstances, most human beings who find themselves in the inner space of an individual normally tend to lose themselves to the, call it if you will, the ignorance of wherever this inner space is. But you managed to keep your composure and you didn't succumb to the overbearing atmosphere of the inner space, which means that you must have been blessed with the light of Harmonia. And what that means is that you have been blessed with the power to see through someone's facade, to see through the inner space, and to make it possible for you to see the true person whom you have managed to find their inner space, to see who they truly are at their core, not this facade that they put on.
Uh, Atticus like sits upright and like has a like mind blowing like. Wait a minute. You said where we were was that in somebody's mind?
That's part of it, yes. So the inner space, it's less so someone's mind and more of a physical embodiment of their overall being, their soul, their heart, if you will.
Atticus is gonna turn to Warren uh, and like look at him and say, "The magician."
Oh, that's why that kid was wearing that shirt. And that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah. So if we go back and then we break that mirror and we pull that kid out and we have like a real like alignment discussion, then that will alter the timeline and then we never have to go through that, right? Problem solved. And I'll point to Mother and give like finger guns like, "Ah? Yeah? Did I get it?"
She kind of chuckles a little bit, says, "Oh, my sweet little Warren, you are partially correct. However, this is not one of those, how do you humans say? not one of those sci-fi esque kind of things. Talking to this person in the mirror isn't going to revert the timeline. No, what it is in order to truly make a change and change what is currently happening outside in your own world, is that the power that I speak of, the light of Harmonia, it is not a tool that is used to physically change or manipulate time. And honestly, what I'm about to say is quite naive to some, but as you have seen today, things are a lot more strange than you under normal circumstances. But what the light of Harmonia does is, in order to truly make a change of the individual that puts you here in your world on the outside, you need to break through the mask, so to speak, of what is powering their ignorance. And you need to have them begin to have a change of heart. The light of Harmonia isn't a physical manifestation weapon to be used to win in some sort of physical altercation or even in some sort of battle. The light of Harmonia is a power that allows you to empathize and to understand the individual that is being under the control of ignorance and trying to find a way to break through those guards, whether it be mental, emotional, anything that they're repressing, and kind of allow them to begin that process to break those barriers down and to heal what troubles them.
I have two questions then.
Yes, Atticus.
You said what's happening in our world. One, we're here, right? Like our our whole us, we're here. Like it's not like our bodies aren't somewhere and our minds are here or anything like that.
No, so physically you are here. And the reason that you are here is because somehow you managed to find a way into this magician's inner space. Now, whether it was on purpose or whether it was on accident, something led you here. And under normal circumstances, regular individuals would be overtaken by the oppressive atmosphere that the ignorance in its physical form of the inner space takes. But because you have been blessed with the light of Harmonia, you have been given, for all intents and purposes, you have been given a shield that keeps you safe from the oppressiveness of the atmosphere of someone's inner space. And you are able to still function and to be able to maneuver through it as you normally would any other regular place, walking, picking up things, you know, having conversations. So
So
that is what's keeping you safe.
so then my second question is, if we are able to help this person see through the darkness, give them a change of heart and do all of this stuff, will that help all of the people that were taken by this person? Will they return?
My dear Atticus, that is the hope. However, just like any other thing, when someone has a change of heart, it's going to look different for everyone. So while I am optimistic and I am hopeful that this magician of yours that is throwing people into mirrors will have a change of heart to let them out, I honestly cannot tell you for certain that that is the outcome that is going to 100% happen. However, I will say this: all it takes is one individual to reach out with a helping hand, a metaphorical one or a physical one, if you will. This individual needs to come to the understanding that they need to make a change. And that is the drawback with this light that you both have been given. You can extend the olive branch, but this power is not used to be a band aid and to fix everyone's problems. It is here to lift the veil of ignorance and allow the individual to come to their own understanding of what they need to do in order to make that change in their life. You are simply just aiding them in that journey, both at the beginning stages of when they break through their ignorance, and then also with the follow up to make sure that they continue on that path of light and to continue down to doing a full 180 and making amends and making a change and coming to a better understanding of what it is that is holding them back from truly reaching their potential. And she kind of looks at you, Atticus, and she says, "My dear, I know you've had some sort of similar experience prior to this. Did you not find it weird that somehow you managed to walk away from what you experienced without too much of any physical harm?" And she kind of just stares at you.
Uh, Atticus will kind of brush it off, not wanting to necessarily. I don't know, especially not knowing Warren as well, and this being an odd situation, kind of, yeah, kind of give a nod of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But if this is how we can try and save people, even if it's not a guarantee, if this is the best chance that we have, then we have to take that chance. And if what you're telling me, if I'm making sense of what you're telling me, which is very hard to do, it seems like we need to confront these demons, as it were. And I'm assuming that through that door is all of the clues and information as to what has led this person to this ignorance that they're holding on to. It seems like we were in some sort of house or some kind of creation of this person. And if it means that we have to go back out there and find this person, find the real them, and help them find this light that you're talking about, then how do we use this? How 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 can we stop this?
And Mother kind of just takes in and breathes a heavy sigh. Like I said, you have been given the light of Harmonia, and that itself can become a physical, just like ignorance can become a physical manifestation. Where there is darkness, there is light. Where there is evil, there is good. And you have the ability to physically manifest this light into a physical manifestation. But I do warn you, I can definitely make that happen and I can help you realize the fullest potential. But know this: if you say yes to this, you may find yourself at odds and you may find yourself coming across some of the darker parts that humanity has to offer. But it is within this light as well that you are able to be that brightness for someone who may or may not think that all hope is lost and can't see the light and their darkness. You are to be their lantern, their flashlight, their, you know, fire of hope that will guide them to where they need to reach out and escape their own darkness. I will say that this journey may be a tough one, and at times you may second guess yourself, and you may be even forced to deal with the things you thought you left behind. But as My promise to you, I solemnly swear that I will help you every step of the way, and I will see that you truly reach your fullest potential, and that know that I will never leave you astray, and I promise to have your best interests at heart. In fact, while it is my name, I truly am a mother in this journey for you, and I make sure to take care of you should you need it. Now, will you be that light for your world?
Atticus is all right. I gotta bring the tension here a little. Atticus is going to go to get up, like in a like meaningful, like yes, I'll do this, like. And as he does, he forgets that the furniture is slightly uh bigger than normal, so it's one of those like, and he has to kind of scoot forward a little bit to kind of get up, and then he stands up and then gets into the like. He tried to look cool and kind of looked awkward, and stands up before Mother and says, "I I've been looking for meaning in how I can help those that need it, and I think I found it."
So, Warren, mother, looks to you and says, "And what about you, young Warren? I know you have many aspirations. And trust me, the light is not only about saving others, but it's about making discoveries about your own path and guiding you into what you truly wish for your life."
Uh, Warren has been um, staring at his folded hands and at his knuckles for most of this section of the conversation, and does not look up at Mother when she addresses him directly. Um, and his hands are he's clasping his hands because they are shaking. It's very much a fear, like nerve, something even more primal than that of like danger is right over there kind of shake. Um and he, in staring at his knuckles, is counting his bruises and scars from his boxing and from work, and he slowly lets go and smooths his palms out and does like a little butt wiggle to get up and stands up, and loosely balls the fist, like rolls the fingers in to tuck him in, and looks up at Mother and says, I'm scared. Um, and I don't know how good or how effective I'm gonna be. Um, but if I have a chance to help others as well as myself, then yeah, I gotta take it. So yes, I'm with you.
She nods her head, and of course, while this is all going along too, and we will do this next time, but Kyler is also there with you and also kind of just gives a nod as well. All this is happening. Chris, would you come back? We're gonna play this out when we get there. Because I'm not leaving you out of this amazing moment. But after the three of you kind of just, come to this decision, Mother's fabric kind of begins to float and kind of floats on over to all of you and kind of just warmly embraces you in the fabric with giving a hug to you and says, "Yes, my children of light, I will guide you and we will save that young boy." And then you kind of see the lights of the inner of this sanctum kind of from the crystals begin to glow even more, and Mother begins to state, "Oh, goddess of light, the light of Harmonia shine down upon these individuals. Please guide them, and allow them to be the change that needs to be. And her fabric begins to also glow, and you all begin to find yourselves enveloping in this very warm light. And this is where I'm going to let my players decide of how to do, because it's time for magical girl transformations. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with Warren. So Warren, what does well, first, what does your magical girl transformation look like? And then give me a description of what your queers alias looks like in your superhero form.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah. So Warren, since we met him through this adventure, has been wearing like just jeans and a cheap black hoodie with a tank top underneath. It's very like athleisure style. And is wearing like running shoes and just looks plain as can be. But it's very like muted black and brown palette or black and blue palette. Um, and as the magical girl transformation takes over, I guess there's like a Sailor Moon levitating action going on, right? So Warren is lifted up and gets a little like uh and as the light and color swirl around him, um the black and blue color palette is like still there. Um so he gets those swirls of light and rainbow, and as the rainbow swirls in, it kind of like all bleeds together and then becomes black and white. So he's starting like at the feet, right? He's got like a like okay, hang on, let me think of my Hero Forge made character. He's got like knee high or like calf high boots that are black and white, and that goes up into black and white pants that are kind of futuristic-y looking with a belt and like little belt pouches. And as that spreads up, he's in like a light armored vest almost that looks kind of like a paintball level like chess piece and no sleeves. And he has his more gangly Ichabod Crane frame still, but as that chess piece forms, it is also black and white with his black and white detailing that looks armor like and has pockets because pockets are cool. There's a hood that kind of comes up off of his own hoodie that as it flips up, there's like a magical sheen as a mask forms. And so the hood is white with a black frame, or maybe that's reverse. I don't know. I'm not going to look at the picture. We'll figure it out later. With that mask there as well, so you can see his eyes, but he has like almost like a bandana over the lower half of his face. And as the rainbow look has been twisting with his black and white, combining and pulling the color in and out, it then travels down his bare arms and forms into like rainbow colored athletic boxer tape that's wrapped around his hands and his knuckles and up to his forearms, and there's like a iridescent ripple that goes through it that almost looks like it's like oil spill ink, and the rainbow ripples through, and as he moves, that rainbow effect kind of triggers almost like a mood ring that when you tap something it kind of shimmers out and it reforms, and it's this shifting rainbow ink. And he's still staring at the hands that were just shaking a bit ago as he you know levitates down and touches down with his boots. Looks very like Tommy White Ranger style, ninja adjacent, but with a certain rainbowy flair added to it. And he stands there. I don't know if we name ourselves. Can I reveal my queer's name? Is that
Yep,
all right?
now would be the time. So
Fabulous.
Warren, Digimon,
Um,
too. Just kidding.
yeah, Warren digivolves. So Warren Corral, there with this ink on his hands and bleeding over into his outfit, there, and you see like superimposed like Borderlands style, and it just says the wordsmith as it's just his own
Yeah.
right there, and that's the wordsmith.
I love that. Woo! I'm so excited. Oh, that's so good. All right, I'm gonna write this down. So the wordsmith. Oh, this is going to be great. Alrighty, so Atticus, we come to you next. So, magical girl transformation sequence. What does that look like?
Yeah. So, Atticus's takes on a slightly different look, very much inspired by kind of a combination of Power Rangers and superheroes. So his actually starts with a weapon. So he would kind of take into a negative space, kind of in almost like a blackness, a starry blackness, bringing his two hands together, forming in his hands. I pictured he does the classic anime of calling out the item or the move or whatever, and instinctually he calls for the spectrum's edge. And forming in his hand is a long katana like blade, kind of a mixture of like sci fi and fantasy. The blade itself is black at first, but then glows with the kind of light of the prismatic spectrum. And that light spreads out over him, kind of shining on him almost in a hyperspace style movement, traveling back. And as it washes over, starting from his hands up through his body, it begins to form a suit around him, a suit of armor, but it's kind of that Power Rangers s kind of, like was described a little bit for Warren, but more full body encompassing. So it's got gauntlets. It's got armor in all of the places that you need it, but still has the flexible space underneath so he can move. Um, Able to work with his training. Traveling up, it's got the shoulder armor, the chest armor, legs. It's got that kind of, you know, high tech fastened belt at the center of the chest. The rainbow light also glows there, matching the light of the sword. A full helmet comes over the top. Doesn't have the mouth, like the fake mouth that the Power Ranger helmets did. It's just got like a plate over that, but it does have the visor, and that visor is glowing as well. I picture it does the like kind of thing over it as it takes form. Normally, so Warren Atticus was wearing pretty regular street clothes, and he wore them in such a way that he would layer them up so you wouldn't see his physical form underneath. You wouldn't get the idea that he's in as good of condition as he actually is. Trying to hide the training and the work that he's been doing. He stands at about 5'9" and weighs probably about 175, 180 pounds. In good athletic condition. When his suit forms on him, he stands at about 6 feet tall and weighs close to about 200 pounds. So the armor, the boots, the helmet, everything adds that size to him. So he takes on more of a physically imposing look. And the places where it's not the hard armor kind of accentuates his muscles. And once he finishes forming and the light dissipates, he uh, takes his place. He kind of reappears in the room, and does the kind of swipe with his sword as the sword dissipates away from him, and he takes his stance. And in front of him, I like the idea of the banner that also appears, and it just says ally.
We always love a good ally in this household. Ah. So, I'm excited to see Chris's transformation in 2 weeks. But so transformation sequences are over. You all are in a state of wonder, shock, excitement. There's just a mixture of emotions as you all kind of look at yourselves in your new getup, look at each other in the new getup, and Mother looks at all of you and says, now you have the power to fight ignorance and to truly make a breakthrough through people's hearts. Now then, now comes the hard part. You have now been given the light of harmonia in a physical form. Let it be your guide in order to help you investigate and find out what troubles this magician you speak of. But you will not be going alone. And she kind of looks at Artio. Artio, please send Ngali with them, please. On it, mother. And so you see Artio at one of the consoles kind of begin tapping. And then from the far side of the room, in one of the crystal towers, it kind of pops open like a drawer a little bit. And out comes what looks to be this little metallic spherical object, no more than maybe 5 inches in diameter. It is kind of a baby powder blue with mechanical fairy wings, so to speak, attached to this thing. It has a LED screen, like a flat LED screen, um, on the face of it all, and you hear that it's starting to, you know, boot up a little bit, and then you see a little mechanical face. Is like, "Hi, I'm Golly. I am your assistant. How can I be of service today?" And Mother's like, "Now, Golly, I am going to entrust your service to our new friends here. And please remember what we talked about last time. Yes, Mother, I promise not to say, hey, look, listen, all that often. I promise." uh,
No, do it. I dare you.
oh my goodness. So essentially, what Gali is going to be used for my players is that, think of this. Oh, of course, think of this as Navi from The Legend of Zelda. Just not at, well, hopefully not as annoying, but should you get stuck, Gali is going to be used to help guide you through. Again, I use a lot of video game logic, so you have a companion, a navigator, so to speak, to help you and to kind of guide you in case you get stuck with certain things. But once you get acquainted with, Gali, you are all kind of just after getting acquainted with Gal E, Mother begins to say, "Now, venture forth and let the real work begin." And as you all head back to the door with your new powers in tow and your transformations and your understanding of what it is that you are may or may not be up against, the true work begins. Artio unlocks the door, it opens back up, and you all looking back at Mother and Artio and the sanctum that you have spent some time in over the last 30 or 40 minutes or so. You now leave that behind and enter back into the unknown that is the inner space. And that, my lovely quiz adventurers, is where we are going to end this session.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting all funned out.
It was so, I enjoyed it
We're
so
about to go
much,
over
you
here
guys.
to our
This
farm.
this was a lot of fun. Oh my goodness, we are finally in the action. So this is great. Oh my goodness. But so that is going to be it for this episode of Queers. Come back because we will be entering the final part of our first kind of introductory art. Now that our intrepid heroes have gained access to their Queers powers thanks to the light of Harmonia, what awaits them in the inner space of the magician? What kind of things will they learn and discover? Will they be able to make this magician have a breakthrough? And will they be able to discover how to bring back their loved ones from the mirrors? Well, you're going to have to tune in 2 weeks. We will be back a Saturday, December 21st, as we will conclude our introductory chapter of our campaign, Carnival of Illusions Part 3. So I have been Mikey. I would like to thank my players, Andrew and Connor, for joining me this evening. And I am super excited to continue on with this story with them, as well as the rest of our players. And From myself and from Halfling Wizard Productions, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, you always deserve to finish your story. Be kind to one another. And until next time, be here and be queer. We will see you guys later.
Thanks for joining us for this Halfling Wizard production. Make sure to come back again soon to see what happens next. Right here, where adventure comes to life.